Coming at you live. This is Cooking in Kevin's Kitchen. What do you have in store for us today?
Woo, we got an easy one today, folks. This one right here is called Butter Swim Biscuits.
Oh my God.
Now look, this, I interrupted you, sorry. This right here is gonna replace me rolling dough and making biscuits the old-fashioned way. And I'm telling you, this right here is just as good, except you don't have to roll it or do none of that stuff, so it's really easier. I am going to do a video on how to roll out dough biscuits, but I'm going to use buttermilk to make buttermilk biscuits, but of course the store was out of buttermilk, so I couldn't do it. I was going to do that sometime this week, and I was also going to make buttermilk cornbread, but I'm going to have to do that after I can get me some good old buttermilk. Anyway, this is Butter Swim Biscuits, and I'm going to tell you what, these are easy and very, very yummy. It's going to replace me. I'll probably never roll another biscuit. There's absolutely no sense. This is just super easy. I like to go over my ingredients first, you know that, so let's try to do that. We're going to need 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. A lot of times I forget to say what kind of flour, and that's my bad, so we try to put it in the little pop-ups that come up. So just pay attention to that because it does matter. This is all-purpose flour, okay? We're going to use 4 teaspoons of baking powder. We're going to use 4 teaspoons of sugar and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And here's the trick. We're going to use 1.5 sticks of butter, but we're going to split it up. 1 stick, we're going to put it in the pan and we're going to melt it in the microwave, or you can melt it and then pour it in there. I just like to do it in here so you don't waste a dish to have to wash. So we're going to melt that, and then what we're going to do is put our dough on top, and I'll show you. We're going to cut that dough, and oh man, they just come out super yummy. The other part of the butter, which is a 1/2 stick, we're going to take, and I've had it in my freezer for about 7 minutes. You don't want it frozen, but what you want is this butter to be super cold. Because what we're going to do is we're going to cut it in like regular biscuits we do with Crisco or lard or whatever. We're going to do the same thing but with butter. So one thing you must have to make biscuits and things like that, dumplings, biscuits, and all that kind of stuff, is you need you a dough cutter. If you don't have a dough cutter, you can't do none of the stuff that I'm fixing to show you or any of the yummies. So get you a dough cutter, because this is what we do, is we cut in our dough. You want you a nice, big, round, not real steep bowl, and the reason being is because, look, man, when you go to cutting in that dough, you can get right there on the side and everything. So you want you a good pan like that. And then we're going to need 2 cups of regular whole milk. And we're going to need that at the very end. So what I'm going to do is get showing you what it's like to cut this dough. So we need 2.5 cups of flour. I just go like that, and I just take my knife and go like that and make sure you're not getting too much. It's a 1/2 cup. 1 cup. I could have already had this measured, I guess. And 2. And that's kind of, you know, I always say that's what my show is about. It's not really mainly to teach you how to cook a recipe or something. It's to show you all the trials and tribulations that I've gone through so that you can just do it yourself and not have to do it 10 times to figure out little certain tricks that I've came up with or find that it's better. Because when you're working with doughs and things, it's not always the same. And so, you know, you just got to mess until you find out where it works the best. Okay, we have 2.5 cups of flour. We're going to have 1.5 teaspoons of salt, not iodized salt. Why? I'm making bread. I don't like to use iodized salt in bread. There's absolutely no sense in it. We don't need that. So I like to use just regular salt. We need 1.5. Okay. 4 teaspoons of sugar. I guess I should have had these already in a little bowl so I had to dump it, but anyway.
No worries.
No worries. So 4 teaspoons sugar, 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Now you take your dough and you run it against that lid right there. Or you can take your knife and do the same thing. Well, 1, 2, 3. And a lot of these cans will come with a deal that you can rake it across the side. It'll have an aluminum top, and you only peel it back halfway. And then when you come out, you just scrape it against the deal. This doesn't have that, so we had to do it that way. Okay, now what we want to do is kind of whisk all this together. Okay. Take your whisk and mix all the dry ingredients together. comes the fun part. We got a half a stick of butter, nice and cold. You can see that, it's nice and cold. And the reason being is because we're cutting it in. We're making little dough droplets, if you will, or however you want to do it. So we're going to just drop that right in. Just like you would with Crisco or anything, you're just going to cut it. Cut it. And this takes a minute, y'all. This is not an easy process. Cutting in dough. And it'll get softer as it's. So that's why you want it real cold. So we're just going to start cutting it. Oops. Making a little bit of a mess today.
That's all right. Mess with flour.
I don't do the cleaning up, so I don't have to worry about that.
Wah, wah, wah. Guess who does? I was gonna ask you, is this a Southern staple type
Biscuits
of biscuit?
are a Southern staple. Okay, cut in buttermilk biscuits is a Southern staple. Okay. What I'm going to say is I really believe I've found a new way, and there's absolutely no sense in rolling them out and doing all that stuff. You already got to cut the dough in and all that stuff. So there's no sense in rolling it out, and you'll see why. But here's the deal. This only makes 9 biscuits. So if you need more than 9, you're going to have to do a couple batches. Okay, and then here's the next thing I forgot to tell y'all. Is you on your 9-inch square pan, I forgot to say that, we got a 9-inch square pan. You want it real tall. See how tall mine is there? Because you don't, when you put it in there and it all rises, you don't want that butter to come bubbling out. You want to keep all the butter. So, real tall. 450 degrees, we are preheated. This cooks at 450 degrees for like 22, 23 minutes, and they'll come out nice and golden brown on top and so crispy. And what we do is we put it in there and we spread it out. We cut it into 9 individual biscuits to start with. And that butter gets in between all those little cuts you make. Man, it makes each biscuit's all crispy and just buttery. You don't even have to add butter. So I got all these homemade jellies. We're like, which jelly we're gonna use? So we use jelly, and we're like, we both said it. These don't need jelly. You don't need nothing.
Oh my gosh, these biscuits are so sinful, honey.
Okay, so today what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make some sausage, regular old breakfast pork sausage, and we're gonna have sausage biscuits and a little bit of potato patty on the side. And that's just what we're gonna have for breakfast today. Okay, you can see the little droplets that I'm talking about. Okay, well, we got to keep on cutting. You'll see. It takes a while now. This is why people don't like to make biscuits, because this is the hardest part. Whether you're using lard or butter, doesn't matter. And that's the difference about this recipe, is it uses butter to cut in and not lard. Another little trick, if you want them buttery, when I'm cutting in biscuits, if you want, you can get the butter flavor Crisco in the tubes, and it just makes them a little bit buttery.
Cool.
But these here, no lard, nothing but butter. We just keep on cutting. I know this is a long process, but I just want to show y'all what I'm talking about. It's tiring and it takes a minute, but you got to get it right. Okay, see all those little, that's what you're looking for. And then another little thing, I don't know if I really mentioned, but you want to use whole milk. Not 2%, 1%, none of that stuff for this recipe. You want to use whole milk.
Cool. Looks like you got it cut in pretty good there.
Yeah, it's starting to. You just don't want no big chunks, okay? You want little bitty, little dough droplets, I guess is what you call them. See how good that's looking right there?
So that's where all that butter flavor comes in.
Well, no, the butter comes from this guy too, but you got to have lard or butter in order to make the biscuits, and that's why it's cut in. Now, you may not need the whole 2 cups. I'm going to go ahead and pour 2 cups. And what we're going to do is add a little at a time. And then I'll show you the consistency, and it may not use the whole 2 cups. You know, like I said, it's weird. Every batch comes out a little different when you're making breads and doughs and stuff like that. Just depends on your measurements and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So I'm going to rush this a little bit, but you want to cut it in. You don't want no big chunks of butter in there. You want them all nice and tiny like this. Okay? That looks pretty good cut in. Okay. We're going to make us a dent. You see how I did that? Mm-hmm. Look, no butter left on my deal, really.
Nice.
So, you know it's cut in good. Now, I made a dent. We're going to start with about a 1/4 cup. You start stirring it in. Because you'll make a big old mess right here. You go to putting all that milk in there. And then you won't know if your dough is the right consistency. So right there, another 1/4. Almost 1/4, whatever. Stir it in. Yeah, see, you can see it looks good. See those? That's what you're looking for. I don't know if you zoomed in or not, but you want those little droplets or doughlets, let's call it. Okay, about half our milk. Looking good. And you don't want it runny. You want it a dough, right? So that's why you may not need all the milk. Yeah, see, that's looking good. Yeah, I'm not going to need no more milk. So right there, we only used 3/4 of a cup. I mean, not 3/4 of a cup. We're down to a 1/2 cup, so we used 1½ cups.
Has to do with the air temperature and stuff, doesn't it? Is that...
Man, it's just your measurements and all that stuff.
Right. When you're working with dough, I know the temperature matters.
Okay, so we're going to let that sit there a minute. We're going to take and melt our butter real quick. Guess I could have already had this done. Usually we cut in and out of our videos. So let me melt this butter. We'll pop it in the microwave and we'll be right back. All right, we're back, y'all. We got our melted butter. Look, a whole stick of butter. And it kind of tastes like when I do my cobbler, because I use a whole stick of butter in my cobbler. Those edges, boy, ooh, they get nice and crispy and just, so buttery. Now, look, you see this? That's a good mix. Looks a little wet on top, but you get in there and it looks just real good. So, that's what you want. See that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is just take this whole thing, kind of try to get it together. Like that, and just drop it in on top of that butter.
This is where the magic happens.
Right here. Butter Swim Biscuits.
Oh my gosh.
And it's no joke. They are swimming in butter.
Paula Dean would be proud.
Yeah. I don't know how proud the doctor would be, but... Okay. Once we get this in here, I'm going to spread it to the edge. Don't worry about the butter or nothing. Why? It's Butter Swim Biscuits. It's all gonna get butter. We just want to make sure we kind of get it all even. Spread out. The butter kind of helps make it, when it gets on top like that, it makes it looks real easy to spread. Go all the way to the edge. Look at that butter. Bring that butter over. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take and cut it in 9s. Okay. So, about right here, there, just cut it. Actually cut it, just like it, look this. What we want is that butter to get all in between there, see that? See how it's cut? And make sure it's cut all the way through. Get that butter in there. Now look. Better get that in there. That'll be yummy.
Oh, it's gonna be so
okay, so now what we do, we have our oven preheated to 450 degrees. We're just gonna pop them straight in the center rack of the oven. Like that. 23 minutes. Timer, 23. Depending on how hot your oven is, sometimes it can be 22. It'll come out nice and golden brown. We'll be back in 23 minutes.
Coming at you live, we are ready to pull these Butter Swim Biscuits out of the oven.
And I already have my sausage in there, so my sausage should be ready at the same time. Let's do that. got sausage. I'm gonna show you a little trick what I do. I like to make my sausage patty and then I put some good old coarse black pepper on it and I push it in there. Ooh, it makes it really yummy. Okay. Hey, a little hot. That's all right. Look at them. Butter Swim Biscuits. I'm gonna move this over here because my thing's hot. I'm gonna burn up.
You know what I compare these to? The Red Lobster biscuits.
Yeah, and so what I'm going to do one time, which I haven't done it yet, I'm going to take, when I put that butter in and put a lot of garlic and salt, and I'm going to put it in, and right before I stick it in the oven, I'm going to cover the whole top with some Parmesan cheese, and they're going to be yummy. But that's a whole separate deal. I wanted to do these regular because we're going to eat this for like breakfast. So we're just going to, you see they're already cut? Look at that. Boy, they're just yummy. Let me go in and pull one out so y'all can see it. I don't have a plate. Grab me a plate here. They're already pretty much cut, see? So, they're not hard to get out or nothing. And let me tell y'all, these are yummy. Look at all that butter.
God. Amazing.
Okay. Here's you a good old Butter Swim biscuit.
Woo-wee. Awesome.
Pull one more out, and then we'll be done with this here video.
Ooh, Butter Swim.
Yeah, look at that. We're going to have this tonight with our dumplings instead of cornbread.
Gosh.
Right there, y'all, Butter Swim Biscuits.
A little slice of heaven.
Get you some.